Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I've got another welder to review. It's the SD-4050 Pro from Simder. Now this machine here is not only just a welder, it's also a plasma cutter and a TIG welder. So I'll go through the features during the video. First of all, Simder did contact me to review this machine for them. And by the way guys, I already have 3 professional machines in my shop. I don't need another welder. Just letting you know, the main reason I'm doing this video review is to show you guys what's out there. Now this is their 2024 model, and apparently it's got some upgrades compared to the older versions of this machine. And when you get the machine, this is what you will get in the box. You'll get your manual with some extra rollers, some clamps for some hose. And what's great about this machine is you also get a 220 volt adapter to 110 volts. Great if you want to do remote jobs, or if you don't have a big 220 volt plug in your shop, you can run it on 110. Although just remember, if you run it on 110, you probably won't be able to do as much with the machine. For example, you might not be able to weld and cut as thick of metal as you could with the 220 volt plug-in. So here's the hose to connect your gas for the MIG welding and the TIG. Here's your ground clamp. Here's the stinger for the stick welding. So that's another feature that this machine has. There's the MIG torch, the MIG gun here. It looks of good quality and it doesn't feel too bad. This is their 15 kD MIG gun. Here's the TIG gun here. Everything's in there with some consumables. And in this bag here, you have a graphite liner. I wrote it so I wouldn't forget. Apparently, you can put this liner inside your MIG gun cable and weld aluminum straight through the MIG gun without using a spool gun. So that's a nice feature to have. And here's a hose that you might end up using to connect your plasma cutter. And this here is the plasma torch. And apparently this is a pilot arc plasma cutter, and you get this here that you will actually put at the end of the torch. I'll do that later on, but you can actually cut without touching the metal, which will be nice. You just drag this on your metal while you're holding the torch, which in my opinion makes it easier to use. I don't use plasma cutters too often. I actually do have a professional plasma cutter in my shop and I really don't use it that much, but hopefully I will in the future. And you will also get this small air dryer here for your plasma cutting, and you're going to have to bolt it on at the back. Now you will get 2 of these small connectors here. One will go over here that you run the hose right down here for your cut gas, but really I'm using air, my compressor. And what I did over here is, instead of having this connector, which would be awkward to connect my compressor, is I swapped it out for one of these connectors that will connect on my compressor hose. So it's going to make it easier. I just clip it on and unclip it. Very easy instead of undoing some hose clamps. Now if we open the door here, you can see where you put your spool. This is all made of metal, and I've actually put the wheel that said 0.9 millimeters over here for the wire, because I will be using 0.035 wire today. So always make sure that you put the corresponding wheel to the wire that you've got in the machine. Now the machine does have a cool interface, and if I go down here, you can see where all your plugs will go. It might seem a bit intimidating, but it's not that bad. And today what I will be doing is MIG welding, stick welding, and some plasma cutting. Now I don't have the foot pedal for the TIG. It did not arrive, so I won't be showing that today. But apparently this machine will weld without using a foot pedal. I'm not used to it. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching can comment in the comment section of this video to give us some tips. Now the machine does feel like it's got a good build, nice and solid, all metal. This is plastic, but this part here is metal. Now this machine's called a 10-in-1 welder, and I couldn't really figure out all the features when they say 10-in-1 and cutter. I found this online here, and maybe that's why it gives you all kinds of different features that this machine can do. So what I've done is I've put a link in the comment section and pinned it, and there's also a link to the machine in the video description. Click on there if you're interested in buying this and read all about the features. And there are also a few other video reviews on YouTube on this exact machine. Now this machine will take a 10-pound spool of wire. You can also use a 1 pound or 2 pound, I think. You run it through here, the wire will go right across here over the little wheel, and then you just put this back down, and to open it you just do that. You can also tighten up the tension on the wire by turning this in. It will put more pressure. Only do that if you find that the wire is not feeding properly through the gun. And always make sure you're using the corresponding tip inside the MIG gun. And I do like how this unscrews with threads instead of just being pressed in. And here's the plug for the MIG gun, and you just put it right in here. I've got the wire sticking out a bit there. It's easy to connect, just screw it in. Alright, so I've got some 1/4-inch plates set up here, and I'm going to MIG weld that together. First of all, I want to show you how I've got the machine set up to MIG weld. I am using the argon CO2 gas mix, and I usually run it between 8 to 10 on the black numbers here. And it is hooked up right in the back here, MIG gas. Now I've got this wire here that comes out of the machine plugged into the positive right here. And you gotta put it in and turn it till it locks. And I've got the negative clamp right in this port right here. Now I do highly recommend that you read the owner's manual. I had to, because it gives you some schematics on how to hook up for the different welding processes. There's a lot of ports here, and if you don't get the right plugs in, you will not be able to weld. Okay, let's turn the machine on. And by the way, this machine here has 2 fans that are constantly running. It loads up like this every time you start it. And now what you have to do is select the welding process that you want. So if you just kind of turn a knob here, it kind of goes right through all the different processes. So what I want is mixed gas, MIG welding. Now you will not be able to start welding just the way you've got it set up here now. You have to go and push over here. Now you can weld with it, and you can also do some adjustments over here. Now if you play with the amps of the MIG welder, it will automatically adjust the wire feed speed, which is in inches per minute, and the volts. Now you can tweak the volts separately here. So I can lower the volts. What I found, I tested the machine earlier and I found that it worked better in the 15 volt range, but you know, you might find that for what you're doing, you might have to set it differently, or you can just leave it the way it is. Now you can scroll through all the options here. I know it seems intimidating, but don't worry about it. You'll get used to it. When you push here, it'll light up the this here first. I'll leave that there. So today I'm using 0.035, which is 0.909 or 9 millimeters. So if you turn the knob, you'll see it'll change. I'll leave it at 35. If you go one more down, this 2T is where you leave it, so that when you push on the trigger, the wire only comes out when you're holding the trigger. The 4T is if you push on the trigger and let go, it will feed until you push it again. I don't weld that way, so I'm just going to leave it to 2T. I will lower the amps a little bit here. Probably around 110, or you know what, 115 to do the 1/4 inch. And I'm going to leave the volts where they are. We're feeding at 218 inches per minute, mixed gas on 220 volts. And I'm going to run a bead right across. I probably could have had it a bit hotter so that I got a better penetration. What I will do is flip this over, turn it a bit hotter, and run another bead. By the way, this machine has a memory system, so you can put some settings into a memory to quickly retrieve for future work. So what I will do here is bring this to about 125. If it's too hot, I'll just adjust it during the welding, and I'll give it a few more volts. There, we'll leave it at 16 and see how that works. And just a quick tip, guys, try to keep the machine away from your welding area, especially if you're using mixed gas, because the airflow from the fans can actually blow your inert gas away from your welding piece, and you're going to wonder why it's so hard to weld properly. Now that was better, it was hotter. And have a close look here. I must say, guys, I'm impressed. This machine welds just as good as my major name brand MIG welder that I have. It just goes to show you don't have to spend a crazy amount of money to have a good MIG welder. Okay, so I've got the machine set up for stick welding. And what you want to do is keep the ground clamp plug plugged into the same one you had for the MIG. And then you will remove this one that was right here. And what you put in there is the stinger for the for holding the rods for stick welding. So it's very simple. Just plug them in there, turn the machine on, and I'll show you the settings. It's very easy to set up for the stick welding. Now what you want here is the MMA. There it is, that's stick welding. Then you push here. Again, you cannot weld by just having it set like that. See, it's not live. It will only go live once you push here. And easy to set up. Basically, it's in amps. I'm going to start at, I don't know, 170 amps. The volts set themselves. And there's a few settings up here that you can do, which I'm not completely sure about. So I will leave that the way it is. And also this machine has synergy mode or synergic mode in some of the welding processes. So when you pick the amps or the volts, it actually does all the settings for you. Again, make sure to read the manual and watch a whole bunch of videos on YouTube, and you're going to learn how to use this machine like a pro. And I'll be welding these two plates together here using a 3/32 7018 welding rod. Okay, I'm way too hot. I've turned it down to 150 amps. And I think even at 150 amps, I'm still too hot. But again, it's the first time I use this machine. I mean, it's welded together, but it was way too hot. So I'll flip this over. Okay, I'm at 110 amps. Well, the slide came off easy. I mean, I could have done better here, but overall, for just using the machine once or twice today, it's not too bad. Okay, I've got it set up here for plasma cutting, and I will highly recommend that you go in the owner's manual and make sure you're installing the connectors properly in the right ports. So I've put the ground clamp here into this port right here. So it's the second from the left, right after this wire. And what I've done here is the main hose from the gun is hooked in right here. There's a small wire with an eyelet on it that you will just kind of screw on behind this here. And then there's a small wire that comes out with a plug that you plug right down here. And make sure the torch has these items at the end here. Now this is a pilot arc plasma cutter, meaning that you don't have to touch the steel for it to cut. So basically, you'll be dragging the torch here right on that piece on the head above your metal like this. So it's really easy to use this way, and then you just drag it and cut. Now, I couldn't find anywhere in the manual a chart that would give me an idea of what to set the air pressure from the compressor at. I did find this from another brand of machine, and this is what it recommends here. Amps on the left, PSI, and thickness of material. It's not the chart for this machine, but it'll give you a good idea where to start. So today I'll be cutting stuff that is about 16 gauge to about 1/2 inch or more, and it's giving me some ideas for PSI and the amps. Now this machine here, it goes only up to 50 amps, so this chart will be a little bit off, but it will give me a good idea what to do. And I've got my compressor hooked up into the small regulator and air dryer at the back, and I've got this set at around 4 to 5, I think it's set at 5 kgf. Now you may want to go online and do a kgf converter to PSI. And I just want to show you the Simder welding helmet here. It's auto darkening, and it's actually a good quality helmet. It's nice and thick and solid. When you have the machine on, you want to select plasma, push over here. You can set your amps. I'll leave it at 40, but you can set the amps right here. And there's a few other things you can do here. Now, if you're cutting aluminum, don't look too close with the helmet because the aluminum spatters all over the shield here and it's stuck right on the helmet. So I'm going to have to replace that protective shield. Luckily, I did get a spare one with the helmet. Anyway, it wasn't too bad. When I got in the 1/2 inch plus, it was struggling a bit, but that could be because I'm still getting used to the machine. Maybe there's settings I can do to get a better performance. And just be aware, if you do cut aluminum, it tends to bind in clumps. But aluminum does that on everything too. So in conclusion, today I want to let you know that my opinion about this machine is actually pretty good. It did the MIG welding superbly. The plasma cutting as well went pretty good. And the stick welding. Now you can also do TIG with this machine as well. I just did not have the foot pedal to do it. You can do TIG without the foot pedal, however. Now this machine is affordable. Check the link under the video to see what it would cost in your country, and there might even be some discounts. I'll ask the manufacturer Simder to give me some kind of discount code that I can put in the video description here so that you guys can get a bigger discount. But overall, guys, it is a good machine. It'll do everything that you need it to do, and the bonus is that it will also do plasma cutting. Excellent machine. I'm really impressed, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment in the comment section if you know more about this machine and the features. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.